You're watching The Experience, Comic Culture and Sales, streaming live daily to Facebook, YouTube, Twitch, and Twitter.
So I found out this weekend that at 3 different points in his career, Tom Hanks was in consideration to join a DC film. Now, that kind of blows my mind because I was, if you just that news alone, you're going, I wonder what he could play. He could be, he could probably be, maybe he could be Perry White or something like that. But no. It turns out that the first time he was considered for a DC film was by Tim Burton, who had him in consideration to play Batman in Batman. Before Michael Keaton got cast, they were looking seriously at Tom Hanks. Now, you could question, well, how serious were they looking at him, right? Well, it turns out when Michael Keaton was done and they were looking for a new Batman, they considered Hanks again. So twice they were seriously considering putting the cowl on Tom Hanks. Now, I like the guy. I think he could do a lot of great stuff. But I couldn't see him doing Batman. I got a rough time accepting that one. But that's the story. And part of that I got from an interview with Tom Hanks. So this really happened. Well, the third time he was considered for a DC movie was much more recently. This was been for the Zack Snyder Batman versus Superman movie, where he was being considered to play Lex Luthor. Now, as much as I dislike the idea of him playing Batman, I kind of dig the idea of him playing Lex Luthor, because I could see him doing the Gene Hackman thing about having the hair and being, gregarious, and then you find out later on he's bald and he's evil as hell. I don't mean that bald people are evil. I'm just saying that's what Gene Hackman did. But I could have seen Tom Hanks and then having him flip that switch to suddenly being deadly. That would have been fascinating as hell to watch. Yeah, I would have been all over the idea of Tom Hanks as Lex Luthor, but not as Batman. You don't have the voice for it. Hi, I'm Batman. No, it just, and then Robin turns out to be a volleyball. And stay tuned for the Dan Wickline Show. Hey everybody, welcome to the Dan Wickline Show here on The Experience. It is 6/6/23, so close to the number of the beast. It's a few houses down. It is Tuesday and we got a good show for you today. We're going to be talking about the box office winner right now, the Spider-Man Across the Spider-Verse movie. So we'll be talking a little bit about that. Trying to do it without as many, as few spoilers as possible. I got some key collectibles for you involving that movie, some of which we've seen before, but I wanted to group them all together. And I got some news to cover. But first, let me say hey to everybody. Hey, Leonard, cool. Good to see you guys. Triple B's driving home probably. Josh is here. Yeah, Josh, you're right. Everybody was thinking Adam West at that point. Max Landis had a Superman pitch years ago in which Tom Hanks is Luthor. Yeah, I could see. I could see Tom Hanks as Lex Luthor. I really could. Edward, good to see you. Uh, who else we got? That looks like the everybody in so far. So let's get some more people in. Share the link with your friends if you could, and let's get into the news, shall we? And I did the big news story first, but I'm going to save it for the last because it's probably the one I want to talk about the most. So we're going to go through the smaller stories today, and then we'll get to that. It's the news. Every time I hear that, I want to do the KFWV voice, like I'm reading the news. Give me 22 minutes, and I'll give you the world. Warner Brothers, you've probably seen it online. Warner Brothers Discovery has released a new trailer for My Adventures with Superman. And we know now that the first 2 episodes will premiere Friday, July 6th on Adult Swim. And then on Max, still getting used to just calling it Max, on the next day, July 7th. So you can watch it on Adult Swim, or if you are subscribed to Max, you can just watch them there. This was one of the 2 animated series that were in the works. The other one being the Batman cartoon with Bruce Timm and J.J. Abrams. And that is now going to be over on Amazon Prime. So they kept one, got rid of one, which is weird. Of the 2, you would think the Batman would be the one they'd want to hang on to, but not so much. So My Adventures with Superman looks fun. Artwork is a little manga-ish, but looks to be good. So if you are looking at the box office and thinking, well, I really want to see Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 2, or 3, excuse me, but I don't want to go to the theaters because, there's people there, which I understand. Well, if you're waiting for home release, like on video on demand and like that, it's gonna be a while. According to James Gunn, it says we've been doing so well in theaters week after week, it might be a little bit. So I was in a discussion the other night about talking with Jim Beard about the media they're using now to send movies to theaters. And I said that, and how do they get them out and everything is digital. And one of the things we talked about is how movies nowadays, they go into theaters, but they don't necessarily have a specific amount of time they're going to be in the theater because it really comes down to how well it does. So a really bad movie is going to go into theaters, come out of theaters, and end up on, Max with, Shazam 2. You think Shazam would have done better if they would have called it Shazam 2 Electric Boogaloo? I think it would have done better. So with the fact that you got a movie like Guardians 3 doing well, they're going to leave that in there as long as possible. So hello, Lyle. Hello, Larissa. Good to see you. So it's going to be a while before Guardian gets on there, but saw part of it the other night, and I'll explain that in the next segment. It's kind of a weird thing I've come across, but we'll get to that. Chris Hemsworth addressed the idea of the criticism of Thor: Love and Thunder, and he says, it's a bunch of 8-year-olds critiquing my film, saying, we thought this one had too much humor, the action was cool, but the VFX weren't good. But he did give his own thoughts on the film. And he admits, he says, I cringe and laugh equally at it. I think we just had too much fun. It just became too silly. It's always hard being in the center of it and having any real perspective. I love the process. It's always a ride, but you just don't know how people are going to respond. And, that's kind of my thought on it too. Taika Waititi has a unique way of doing movies. It's a loose script. They improvise a lot, and sometimes it works out great, like Ragnarok, and sometimes it doesn't work out nearly as well, like Love and Thunder. And it's probably the case that with Love and Thunder, he felt he had more, or they probably gave him more latitude, so he did more that way. And you know, I just don't think that it handled the serious stuff as well as Ragnarok did. And maybe that's because of the scripting. Maybe it's, I don't know. It just, Love and Thunder just wasn't as good a movie as Ragnarok. Just, it isn't. So, all right. Secret Invasion will be out on the 21st of this month. And a lot of people are anticipating it. It's a six episode series. And the thing that we're going to get different than a lot of the stuff's been doing lately is we're going to get one episode. They're not going to do two. They're just going to do one, and it's going to be a slow burn. So expect it to be that way. You know, they're going to give us one episode, and I like that because with especially the mystery, when you have that week to think about it, this is going to go harken back to the days of WandaVision, I think, where there's going to be a lot of online speculation. There's going to be, oh, this person's a Skrull, or this person's going to come in. Now, some things to keep in mind: Nick Fury has already debunked the idea that a bunch of heroes are going to show up, because this is supposed to be a Nick Fury movie, not an Avengers movie or a show. So if you're speculating and stuff, but this is going to be one of those shows with all that speculation, there's going to be expectations. People are going to take that speculation and assume it's fact, and they're going to start jumping in on it and thinking this is how it should go. And then whatever they end up doing will end up being disappointing because it's not what they believed it should be. So I'm gonna give that warning now. Enjoy speculating. We'll be doing speculations on here. We'll be talking about it each week. We'll have a full day to spend on it. But don't get so focused on the speculation that you don't enjoy the show itself. I've seen a lot of people do that. So just enjoy the show. All right, what's going on in chat real quick? Shazam 2, Attack of the Inchworm. Yeah, they really should have done something with Mr. Mind. I don't know what they were thinking. Hey, Leonard, let's see. Lyle says, I think I found the Fortress of Solitude up here. It's a huge block of blue ice. Better blue than yellow. Stay away from the yellow ice. Ant-Man 2 was also not as good as the first one. You know, it's yeah. And Hemsworth actually talked about Ant-Man 2, which is interesting, because he talked about how his expectation, the problem is that every time they do a movie, it gets bigger and bigger and bigger. The stakes become higher and higher and higher. And it's going to get to burnout stage. And I think that's what's happening. So you have to kind of roll it back and remember to make these movies personal, to make these movies matter to the characters and to the audience. So I think there was just so much fantastic in it, fantastical, so much, alien that we've never seen before. A guy that looks like broccoli, they had so much of that in there that they didn't take the time to really make it a personal movie. So I think that's because Ant-Man's always been kind of a personal movie, the little guy, and I think they lost it on that one. Where I still like the film probably more than most people, that I think is the problem there. Let's see. Ed's joking. Oh, come on. Nobody ever does that about getting too expectations on shows. Let's see. Lyle says, "Oh no, we're in very large camps, but the thought of it would be great." Oh, okay. All right. So before we jump to what I think is going to be the big story of the day, there's two other things. There's we finally know now what call sign or hero name Monica Rambeau is going to have in Captain Marvel 2 or the Marvels. Now, there's a couple different options. She's had a couple different names. She's been Captain Marvel in the comics, which seems to already be taken. She's been Spectrum and she's been Photon. Now, a lot of the bets were leaning towards Photon because in the first Captain Marvel movie, her mother's call sign is Photon. And so people were thinking she's going to take her mom's name. Well, it turns out that's correct. We saw the first set of toys coming out for the new Marvels movie, and her figure is listed as being Photon. So SSFD says, "Thanks for the review of Citadel. Binged it the weekend. That was so many plot twists. Had to keep going." Well, I'm glad, man. I hope you liked it, and yeah, I really enjoyed Citadel. So I'm glad you checked it out. So, all right. If you guys, a lot of people are watching Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse right now, and they're really thinking, oh, maybe this time, they're making connections to the MCU, which is fine. But again, along with that whole speculation thing, it's not as connected to the MCU as people want to think. They were interviewing Lord and Miller, and they asked, were there any restrictions on, dealing with stuff like that? And they said, no, we did it. It's been our policy to do what we think is interesting and best, and let the lawyers and business affairs people figure out what's possible. And so far, we've been able to do things that we think are good. So they're not really having to answer much to Marvel. He says, Marvel has given us a lot of rope. It's been a very fruitful collaboration, but it's not like there's a shadowy board of figures that you have to run those by. I think Kevin's a big admirer of the first movie, and he just believes that rising tides lift all boats. These movies are cool, and it makes those movies cool, and we make each other cool. And it's all done out of love. If it were somehow mean-spirited or coming from a place of anything other than admiration and enjoyment, I think it might be a thing. But as it is, it's just been a very pleasant collaboration. So it doesn't sound like Marvel Studios and Kevin Feige really have a big part in the story. So when people see stuff like, oh, we get a glimpse of Donald Glover in the movie, it's not necessarily giving us the idea that, oh, he's going to show up as the Prowler in the MCU. Yes, he's been kind of set up, but it's not. Now, it is a little different because the Spider-Man movies are Sony and Marvel, and they can push stuff, but it's not guaranteed. And if you're curious what Kevin Feige thought of at least the first Spider-Verse movie, he said, I saw Spider-Verse and said, thank God we went with something daring and complex. If it had been just an average Spider-Man villain chasing him around buildings and trying to hit him with a blast, it would have been really lame next to Spider-Verse. So Kevin Feige is a big fan of the Spider-Verse movie. And but yeah, don't look at them and think, well, that's the multiverse. This is all tied together. It may not all be connected. So let's see. Hey, Kenneth, good to see you. All right, so let's get to the big news story. The big news story is Marvel announced a title change, and they did so by dropping a first look pic for the latest Captain America installment. The pic is of Harrison Ford and Anthony Mackie on the set of the Captain America movie, and they're talking to each other. It's behind the scenes. Mackie is in the newer uniform, the blue instead of with the white's gone, the blue's gone. So he is getting a new Captain America uniform, like we've seen in the set photos that have been popping up. But the new title, where originally it was called Captain America New World Order, it's now going to be called Captain America Brave New World. And that may not sound like a huge change, but it is in two different ways. Because, first thing, New World Order is a conspiracy theory that's out there. It's a terminology that basically talks about a secret emerging totalitarian world government that, so basically there's a secret order that kind of runs everything. And as the years have progressed, that idea have kind of been directed towards the Jews. And often you hear the dog whistle globalists. So there is this anti-Semitic connotation to the term New World Order. And then they announced that, Tim Blake Nelson, who's returning as Samuel Stearns to play the leader. Well, Tim Blake Nelson isn't Jewish. So it really kind of picked up from there. A lot of people were talking about it. A lot of people were not happy with the title. And there'd been rumors in the last couple weeks that it was going to go through a name change. So they made it official. They changed it to Brave New World. Now, did they just pick that name at random? Did they look and go, well, we're going to do New World Order. We take the word order off of there. And, oh, wait, there's a phrase, Brave New World. Well, Brave New World is a famous novel. It's by an English author named Aldous Huxley. It was written in 1931, published in 1932, and it's a dystopian novel. It's largely set in a futuristic world where the citizens are all environmentally engineered into an intelligence-based social hierarchy. Now, the novel anticipates huge scientific advancements at the time. So 1931, big things like reproductive technology, sleep learning, psychological manipulation, class conditioning that are all combined to make this dystopian society, which is challenged, of course, by the story's protagonist. Now, we can just look at the title change as, oh yeah, that's just, another new title. No big deal. Or we could look at it as maybe that's what's happening in the movie, is that there is this shadowy group, maybe led by the leader, maybe, I know there's an evil version of the Illuminati in Marvel Comics. I don't remember the title is off the top of my head. But it is possible that that's kind of where we're going towards, is this, basically this shadowy group trying to take over the world. And that would make a lot of sense, especially in a Captain America movie. They have a lot of that stuff going on. It's kind of a thriller thing. So it does kind of fall in line with the Cabal. Yes, thank you. So it does kind of fall in line with the themes that Captain America has been dealing with. So yes, it could just be a title. If Kyle was here, he would point out that Marvel likes to take titles from their comics that they think sound cool and then put them on movies that have nothing to do with the title. And sure, Civil War was just barely Civil War. They've done it with a few of them, and he doesn't like it. But Brave New World does seem to have a specific connotation that does fit with what we've been learning about the movie. So maybe that's a direction. Maybe that's what we're seeing here. So Larissa says she's looking forward to Kevin's new Fantastic Four movie, as am I. Hopefully, we're going to learn who the cast of it is by San Diego this year. I low-key love the Fantastic Four comics. Larissa, did you catch our show the other day where we went through what could be the 10 best Captain America comics? I'm kind of interested in other people's takes. We had the run from the Inhumans through the introduction of Black Panther, those 10 issues. I'm kind of curious if anybody goes, no, it's these 10 issues. I really want to get a differing opinion. So if there's a 10-issue run or a 12-issue run that you think is better than that, please tell me, and we'll talk about it on the show. Age of Ultron, yeah. So they do borrow titles, and yeah, I don't know who they borrowed Quantumania from, but so no, I didn't catch that show. I'll check it out. Yeah, it's on YouTube. So, but yeah, we break down those 10 issues and why they're possibly the best. And it wasn't my list; it was somebody else's I borrowed, but it was pretty cool. So, all right, let's go ahead. We'll take our first break, and when we come back, we're going to talk about Spider-Man Across the Spider-Verse. Be right back.
Did you know that every Experience show, including some exclusive content, streams on Twitch? Check it out, twitch.tv/the_EXP. Or just scan that QR code.
Imagine being at a convention and going to an interview panel that's just for you. No bustling crowds, no hours-long lines, just you, the moderator, and your favorite comic book creators. Well, this is pretty much that. Miss Jen sits down every week with 2 comic book creators for a live stream interview about their latest work, and you can ask them whatever you want. It's Talking Shop, Mondays at 5 Eastern on The Experience, Comic Culture and Sales.
What if Hans Gruber from Die Hard had to battle the Joker from Batman the Animated Series in a dance battle? Or who would win in a race between Baby from Baby Driver and Snidely Whiplash? If Austin Powers and Shrek found themselves in a hot dog eating contest, who would emerge victorious? These are the questions we talk about on Nerd Killer Warfare. Debate the most absurd questions you've ever heard in popular culture. Register now by scanning the QR code or visiting bit.ly/EXP casting.
Hey everybody, welcome back to the Dan Wickline Show here on The Experience. Stick around all day here. We got some great shows coming up. We have got in stores this week where Kyle J. Sean and I will be going over some new books this week that are coming out. And then Minute to Skim It, where the Space Cadet crew will grab the books as they come in and look them over and give you a quick minute to skim it and tell you what they think. After that, we got Midhunters. We got a good lineup tonight. You want to stick around for all of that. Also, if you are a collector of original art pages, Nick's doing it again. On Friday, he has all the pages from the recent Amazing Spider-Man number 26, The Death of Kamala Khan, Miss Marvel. So you want to tune in for that. The shows are fun because even if you don't buy the pages, when Nick's got something like that, he last Friday when he had the other Mark Bagley pages, it was funny. One thing had sold, and he kind of, people were kind of giving him crap about it, stuff like that. No Sean tonight? Oh, Kyle told me earlier he was on. Hey, John, good to see you. But yeah, so Nick's always entertaining, so you want to tune in for that. But he's got the cover and all the pages, and I've gotten to see them. They're pretty damn good too. So, we want to tune in for that. I'm not sure what I'm doing the rest of the week. I haven't had a chance to. Well, I did rewatch something to do a show on a rewatch, but it got trumped because the rewatch I was going to do was Into the Spider-Verse. I rewatched it. I enjoyed it a lot. I remember seeing it. It's funny, in my mind, Into the Spider-Verse ties into Warhammer, which is going to sound crazy. But nap time ASMR with Dan. Yeah. The reason it ties into Warhammer for me is when I went to go see the movie, it was just after, I think it was between Christmas and New Year's, and Lisa and I went over to the theater up where she lives, and we got there early. We had dinner and we got over there, and we had time to kill. And I'm looking around, and in the same parking lot, just a few doors down from the theater, was a Warhammer store. And that blew my mind because I'm like, I don't even really, I've heard of Warhammer, but the idea that they would have their own store, and it's not like it was called Games Workshop, it was called the Warhammer store because there are Games Workshop stores around too. So we went in to kill some time and looked at all the monsters and creatures and stuff, and they were all cool. And whoever they get to manage these stores, every single one of them I walked into, these guys are the most accommodating, friendliest used car salesman I've ever met in my life, because they will basically make you feel like you're at home, and they will offer you anything to get a sale. And in this case, what the guy talked to us about was they do painting lessons there. So it's like, oh yeah, this is great. And because we were going to start playing D&D, we thought, well, we got to get our figures and stuff, and we're going to have to paint and stuff. So we could go there and get, figure out how to paint them. And that's so basically we went from the Warhammer store, which was a very positive experience, into the theater, watched Into the Spider-Verse, which was a very positive experience, and just had a blast. So those two are tied to me because of that event. But I hadn't seen it since the theater. I had it on Blu-ray, but I hadn't watched it again. So I thought, well, with the new one coming out, I'm not going to be able to get to the theaters to see it right away. So let me watch the old one, and we'll do a rewatch on it. And I watched it, and then that night, I think it was Saturday night I did that, I get into bed, and I'm unwinding a bit, and I'm like everybody, I'm playing on my phone, and I'm on TikTok. And as I'm scrolling through, I come across what I believe is a scene from Across the Spider-Verse. I'm like, oh, cool. I'll watch this scene. And it turned out to be a very long scene, because I thought they were showing me the part where we introduced Spider-Man of India. But the scene went on for about an hour and a half until the ending credits. Now, I didn't realize that there were people on TikTok who would basically do a live stream of an entire movie, let alone of a movie they shouldn't even have yet. So I saw over half of Across the Spider-Verse, just looking at my phone, midnight, 1 a.m. And it was clear enough. It was a good copy. And I can't even figure out where they would get it. It wasn't like somebody was sitting in a theater holding their phone up, recording it. This was like somebody was doing a lot like this, you know? If we play a recording, it was like that. Or when you click on a YouTube video, it was clear as can be. Good sound quality, the whole thing. And I thought, well, that's scary. Why does somebody have that? And like I said, I was kind of stunned to see how long that scene was going to go, and it ended up finishing the movie. So still kind of stunned by that. And I even put on social media, hey, how far into the movie does the Spider-Man India scene happen? Yeah, that's what I'm picking up at, is it does happen a lot more than I think. So I go, the next night, it's a normal thing for me. I lay in bed and I kind of unwind playing on my phone. So I'm on TikTok again the next night, and sure enough, there's the movie again. But this time, it's all in the opening with the Gwen Stacy. Gwen Stacy? Yeah. And with Gwen, and I see the opening credits, and I see all the way up to the Spider-Man India scene. So I may have missed a little bit of the very beginning, some of the story, where the other Peter Parker died, but I pretty much got to see the whole movie now. Now I'm still going to go see it in the theater because they deserve my money. And I'm probably going to buy it on Blu-ray like I have the other one. So they're not going to lose money on me having watched it that way. But a lot of people, I don't understand that people are doing it to get their views up, which blows my mind. So last night, now that I've watched one, those are starting to come up more and more because of the algorithm. And sure enough, there's one that has Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3. I didn't watch it. I don't want to watch that one on my phone. And another person had Fast X. And I don't care about Fast X. But I don't understand how these people are getting copies of these films and then are being played in the in their entirety on TikTok, and nothing's happening to them. There's no copyright infringement because it's not being recorded and played. It's being played live. So, yeah. Jay reminds me, not too long after the first Deadpool movie, someone had the entire movie on Facebook. Yeah, see, I mean, maybe they're getting a digital copy from the theater somehow. I don't know, but that really kind of blew my mind. So I'm going to give my thoughts on the movie, trying not to do spoiler, but overall, I like the movie a lot. And I like the fact that you put part 1 at the bottom there, Jay, because that's what it is. They don't tell you it's part 1 going in. They tell you that, they refer to it as being their Empire Strikes Back, and that it's going to carry over into, there's going to be a little bit of but no, it's more than a cliffhanger. Right? It's more than Empire Strikes Back. Empire Strikes Back had a definitive ending with a leftover string that they have to go rescue Han Solo. But there is an ending to the film. There's no ending to this movie. It just stops. It is part 1 of 2. Yeah, Larissa's right. It is becoming the norm watching a movie on your phone. No comfy chair, no popcorn, no great sound system, just your phone. Yeah, agreed. Yeah, it's not how I wanted to watch the movie, but then it was presented to me that way, and it's like, okay. It's still copyright infringement. It's just much easier for companies to take things down on services like YouTube as opposed to TikTok. Also, TikTok just has the most viewers currently. Yeah. it's a sad state of affairs. I'm not, you know, I didn't support them. I didn't, you could tip the guy. I'm not tipping him. You can, subscribe. I'm not subscribing. And like I said, I passed over 2 other movies because it just didn't feel right doing the first one. So, but yeah, I think the negative of it is that it really does just kind of end. And I don't think they properly prepared people for that. They didn't, they kind of downplayed it, and I know some people who hate that, who will not see the movie unless they can see both parts, So the fact that you got to wait till March of 29th of next year to see the second part would anger a lot of people. So that is a downside. And there were some bits that I thought were like the Spider-Punk, Hobie Brown. He was almost unintelligible. The way they had, hey Lucia, the way he speaks, I almost need subtitles. It's such a heavy Cockney accent, and he speaks in colloquialisms and stuff like that. So it's you kind of watch everybody else to figure out what the hell he's saying. Watch the other characters. But those are probably my only 2 complaints about the entire movie. It's a lot of fun. It has a lot of heart. Yeah. It's the artwork is great. They may have gone overboard on the cameos and stuff. There's a lot of stuff in it that is kind of insider bits, and it might not affect most people, but there's a lot of, oh, that's the PS1 suit, and that's the Mark I armor that he wore, that's the Mark II armor he wore. Oh, that's the Bagman costume where he lost the symbiote suit, and they made him go home in a Fantastic Four costume with a bag on his head. There's a lot of references and stuff in there like that are great fun for people in the know, and they don't really hold down the story. But I think, yeah, Daniel Kaluuya does voice Hobie, but he does. But I think for people who are in the know, you spend almost as much time looking at all these extra characters and stuff that it kind of takes you out of the moment. So maybe they went a little overboard on that. And they created some new Spider-Man. Now they did it for certain people and stuff like that, but just started with American football and strained my leg muscles. Very cool. What position are you playing? So yeah, that's. But it's got a lot of heart. What's interesting is you don't get a couple characters from the first movie back. Sort of. I think they'll be back for the last movie. So I don't know if Nicolas Cage is coming back, but that would be great. Melissa says that's what happened to the Eternals. Too many great characters with very little background. Yeah, they agreed. They could have focused on a few Eternals and then expanded it out later. You're playing D-line. Nice. Good job. So overall, it's still got the heart of the first story. It feels like the first story. It feels like the next chapter. They did a remarkable job in making it feel connected, making you feel like, I think it's been a year since the first, in chronologically, since the first movie, and it feels right, and it has it has what's important to make Spider-Man work, which is all the stuff that he has to sacrifice to be Spider-Man. It has those moments, and I like that a lot. Jay says, my opinion, Eternals could have been a series that led into a movie just to give each character some shine. Yeah, that would have worked too. So, all right. I want to say more about Spider-Verse, but I think I'm going to save it. We'll talk more about it later in the week. But I want to get to the key collectibles. So let's go ahead and we'll take our second break and we'll do the collectibles. Be right back.
Comic Collectibles is here for you every Wednesday with AR Comics for two very important reasons. To sell you rare, one-of-a-kind comics that you'll love, and to confuse AR with old man talk. You see, Rex and John are, how should I put this, ancient as the roots of the mountains. So every week, Rex and John fill in AR in yet another area of pop culture that he missed because he's too young, just didn't have the time, or just really doesn't care about. It's a real public service they provide. Come buy some super rare and unique comics, while old men explain long-dead sci-fi shows to a younger man making that confused puppy face. Every Wednesday from 6 to 8 Eastern with Rex, John, and AR Comics. Comic Collectibles on The Experience. Comic culture and sales.
You know how when you go to Comic-Con, after Comic-Con, you go to the hotel bar, and there's a whole bunch of people playing music and dancing, and you've got Pikachu and Lara Croft Tomb Raider doing the cha-cha slide just down from Deadpool and Batman and Wonder Woman? That's every Saturday night over on the Experience Twitch channel. Join Taji Beats for the EXP Dance Party, exclusively on Twitch, twitch.tv/the_EXP. Why was Princess Zelda sad after watching a bunch of YouTube videos? She couldn't find the link in the description. We'll stop if you subscribe to our YouTube channel. It's super easy. Click subscribe and click the bell when you do. And thanks for supporting the EXP.
Hey everybody, welcome back. My thoughts on the Eternals real quick. I think they should have done something more like the Neil Gaiman run, where we find out why they've been missing all these years, and they don't have their memories, they get them back, and then you could go into the Celestial story. But you could have just focused on the Eternals and the Dire Wraiths, or not the Dire Wraiths, the creatures they fight, the Deviants, and just focused on that, and then led into the Celestials in the second movie. But it's a lie. Those jokes will never stop. Is it wrong that I cringe at that commercial, the Zelda joke? Because he does one joke and then goes, "We'll stop." There has to be more jokes. One joke doesn't get people to stop. There needs to be multiple jokes. I hate that commercial. Wish they wouldn't run it, at least during my show. So, all right, let's get to these collectibles real quick. These are the characters from the Spider-Verse, where they first appeared, basically. Spider-Verse key issues. And, of course, now some of these we've done before. We've done Miles Morales before, just last week. But Ultimate Fallout number 4, this goes for $500 on the high end, $150 on the median, $50 on the low end. What's interesting to me is on the second book here, Gwen Stacy as Spider-Woman, she's more valuable than Miles. Edge of Spider-Verse number 2, first appearance of Spider-Gwen, $550, median's $180, low end's $55. So, all right. Spider-Man 2099, I remember getting this book and how cool it was, and it had the foil edges. Man, I love the 2099 books. Most of them. Ravager sucked, but some of them were really good. Spider-Man 2099 #1 from 1992, first appearance of Spider-Man 2099, Miguel, and it's high end's only $20 on this. Median's 8, low end's number is $2. If you haven't got this, go look for one. Seriously, it's a great book. Rick Lenardi artwork. What If #105 is the first appearance of Spider-Girl Mayday Parker, and we get Mayday a little smaller in the movie. This goes for $125 on the high end, $40 on the median, $12 on the low end. All right. Spider-Man India, we meet in this. He doesn't look like this. He has a much more unique style in the movie, and I like it. Spider-Man India debuted in 2005, way before Miles Morales or Gwen Stacy's Spider-Woman. This goes for $65 on the high end, $18 on the median, $5 on the low end. He's a cool character in the movie too. I like him a lot, and he's kind of unique. But all right, this is Peter Parker's Spectacular Spider-Man #98, and this was 2012. This was the first appearance of the Spot, who is our bad guy in the movie, voiced by Jason Schwartzman. High end on this is $30, median's $9, low end is $3. And I remember when this came out, I thought the character was a joke, and they treat him like a joke in the movie until you get to the end, and then he's very much a threat. So I think that's very cool. Spider-Man Noir #1, of course, first appearance of Spider-Man Noir. This one goes for $180 on the high end, median is $60, low end is $18. All right. I also remember getting this one. I was like 13 or 14 years old when I picked it up. Marvel Tales, starring Peter Porker, the Spectacular Spider-Ham #1. I thought it was like, this is just silly, but I'll pick it up because I was just buying new Marvel books. First appearance of Peter Porker, Goose Rider, Captain America, Hulk Bunny. High end on this, $65. Median's $20, low end is $8. This is more valuable than Spider-Man 2099 right now. If you think about it, Spider-Man 2099 was Batman Beyond before Batman Beyond. Just saying. This is Edge of Spider-Verse #5. Introduced us to Spider, which is Penny Parker. This came out in 2014. High end on this, $25. Median is $8. Low end, $2. Another one you can easily get. And of course, Marvel Spotlight #32 from 1977, the oldest book of any of these here. First appearance of Jessica Drew Spider-Woman. High end on this is $180. Median is $60. Low end is $18. So I believe that was the 10th book, correct? Yes, it is. So, just finishing up my thoughts on Spider-Verse. It's a good movie. It's a good movie. It's good to take the family to. It's good. You should watch the first one. If you haven't seen Into the Spider-Verse, watch that then, which is weird because it's not on any streaming service. But if you can watch it, then go see the movie. But it's a lot of fun. It has that same heart. It has great animation, good voice actors. I mean, this is going to give the Super Mario Brothers movie a run for its money when it comes to Oscar time for animated film. You know, I think these two are going to be high up there. I don't know if anybody else will, but I think these two are, didn't this win something? Yeah, the Academy Award for Best Animated Feature. The first one won it, and it wouldn't surprise me if the sequel won it again. The only knock against it, like I said, is the ending. But it has a lot of interesting twists and turns, and yeah, liked it quite a bit. All right, let me catch up real quick on the chat. I'm with you, Dan. That commercial is my least favorite. Yeah, I even asked Kyle if we could stop running, and he's like, no. Was going to run TikTok, but that was shorter. Stay tuned. Oh, yep. Stay tuned for Dan, Kyle, and Jay with the in-stores this week. So, and I guess we'll just wrap it up there. So I'll be back in a couple minutes with Jay and Kyle. We'll talk some new comics. and whatever else comes to mind. So I will see you tomorrow, where hopefully by the time I go to bed tonight, I'll know what the topic is going to be. Have a great one, guys.
Join the party. Head over to our link tree to find all the links for everywhere the experience is all the time.